Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 8th Annual UAGC Early Childhood Conference. We are so excited that you're here with us. Today, you are seeing the session, Helping Your Child Become a Better Reader at Home. Dr. Michelle Simecek is going to be your presenter. She is a faculty at the University of Arizona Global Campus in the College of Arts and Sciences. And I'm going to give her a short introduction because I get to work with her and she's amazing. Dr. Michelle Simecek is an assistant professor for the Bachelor's of Arts in Early Childhood Development and Differentiated Instruction within the College of Arts and Sciences at the University of Arizona Global Campus. She received a doctorate of education in educational leadership. For over 20 years, she has worked as both an elementary teacher for kindergarten through third grade and a reading specialist for students of all ages. Dr. Simecek spent several years as an instructional coach alongside new and veteran educators within the school setting to improve educational practices in the classroom, and I am honored to be able to work with her.
Thank you, Tisha. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to work with you all.
Yes. Okay, next slide, please. Okay. We kindly request your attention for a brief moment in the spirit of transparency and utmost respect for our community. We have some information we'd like you to read on this disclaimer screen. By taking a few moments to read through this disclaimer, you empower yourself with important information regarding the boundaries of our knowledge-sharing environment. All right, we have one more disclaimer on the slide. And so then together we will embark upon some exciting topics in early childhood education. And Dr. Simecek, when you are ready, the floor is yours.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Tisha. I have up here a little overview of what we're going to talk about today. So as Tisha introduced me, you learned that I have some experience as a reading specialist and a literacy coach in the public school setting. And what the biggest question was that I would get in my career was, how do I help my child become a better reader? I got that all the time. So I put together this presentation. Hopefully it will help you with your students in your classroom or your own children at home, and then also any children that you know, just with some good strategies that you can use to help prepare your kids for school and get them reading. So we'll talk about when you want to start, how you can support your children at home, setting some habits, supporting someone who might be struggling with reading, and looking into your local library for support. And then most importantly, we'll talk about making reading fun. Okay, first question, and this one comes out all the time, is when is the right time to start working on reading skills? And my answer is, if you look at the picture, it's never too early. And I actually truly believe that me playing music around the house and reading books out loud while I was pregnant might have benefited my own children. I'm never going to know, but I did those two things, and my kids were pretty good readers. There'll never be a way to know, but children are sponges from the day they are born, so it is never too early to start. One of the things that you can do at home is just read aloud together, okay? Set a time each day to read aloud with your child, and that can be at bedtime, it could be after dinner, it could be in the morning. Choose a variety of books that interest them and are appropriate for their reading level. And as you read, just point to the words and they can follow along. That's how they start picking up words and letters and start putting together their phonics skills. So this is just a fun way to get them started. They're not doing any work. You're just enjoying a book with them and you're reading for them. When you're driving, instead of kids just zoning out in the car with a Padlet or a phone or some type of technology, try to put it away at times and have them read the environment to you. So you can play games, like have them look outside for signs that start with the letter S and read those. They can recognize that stop sign. They know that's the letter S. You start talking there. Maybe they find 5-letter S's and then you move on to the next letter. It can be like a bingo game when you're on a road trip. They quickly learn how to read familiar signs like McDonald's, one way, or any of those street signs. So get them recognizing them early and play games in the car. It's a really fun way for them to start recognizing what we call environmental print, or print that they see in their everyday lives. Here are some more examples of everyday print. wrappers and boxes of different labels of things that they enjoy at home and some of their favorite brands. It's a great way for them to start connecting phonics skills to the words that they know by sight. And again, you can play games with those when they're eating their cereal in the morning. How many S's are in Frosted Flakes? Can you find them? Really simple ways to get them using those skills early on. And again, kind of getting them off of technology and having them investigate their environment. It is important for us to create a reading routine. And I mentioned that earlier. So maybe it's at bedtime, maybe it's in the morning. You need to decide what works in your home with your schedule, with your work schedule. For my own children, it was at night when we would do a bath and then we would get the jammies on and brush the teeth and crawl into bed. And I would have both kids with me and we would read a book. So that was our routine. But everybody's routine would be different based on what works for your family. But setting that helps you remember to do it, and the kids start to look forward to it, and it kind of becomes a habit. And there's a lot of research to support kind of calming down the brain. So doing it at night before bed with calm lighting is a great way to kind of unwind from the day, helps your kids get good sleep. And I don't know about you, but if I read a book at night, I don't get very far before I get sleepy and I need to go to bed. So it's just a great way for all of us to kind of wind down. So I encourage you to create a reading routine. Nighttime is great, but really any time that you can fit it in is going to benefit your child. We want to be providing access to books. So this does not mean that you need to go to a bookstore and purchase thousands of dollars of books. I do have a sister who did that, and she ended up selling them all at garage sales for pennies. Not necessary. Make sure your book is filled with a variety of books. But what I did, and you see on the picture, I had a plastic tub. I would go to the library and check out a ton of books and then swap them out every couple weeks. They would stay in the tub. My kids would get them out just like they were our own books at home, but we were borrowing them. And the best part was every couple weeks we had brand new books. So they didn't get bored. They just had them long enough to kind of get familiar with them, and then we would trade them out. I encourage all of you, if you have not gone to your local library, go get a library card with your children. They love it. They have access to a ton of books. The children's librarians are generally really familiar. You can explain where they are in school. They will show them books that they know appeal to children. I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the presentation as well. We want to encourage phonics skills. So you can help your child learn letter sounds and phonics rules by playing games and using activities that reinforce that phonemic awareness. Rhyming games are great. Word families are great. Finding pictures and asking them what the letter is that goes with the picture is great. All of those things kind of get them ready for the next stage, which will be reading. But you can do these things again by sight. If you had a game, you can find printables online, or you can just say the word. I'm thinking of a word that rhymes with mouse. Can you think of a word that rhymes with mouse? And you get them thinking mouse, house. Do they rhyme? Yes. Your kids start to hear those patterns, and it really does support the skills they're going to need in school. Flashcards and labels are also a great way for children to start learning everyday words in the environment. You can print, again, you can find anything on the internet. So you can print labels and put them around familiar items. You'll see in a lot of preschools and kindergarten classrooms, the teachers do this as well. There's no reason you can't do it at home. Also collecting early sight words. If they're going into kindergarten, print out the kindergarten sight word list and make little flashcards and practice them. Sight words are words that we want children to learn just by looking at them. And unfortunately, sometimes they are not words that can be sounded out. So it's just repetition and seeing the words. And that's a great way to support them, especially over the summer before they enter a new grade level. We do want to utilize technology to our benefit. Of course, I always say with limits, we don't want kids on the computers nonstop. I will share a link. I don't know if it'll work. I'm going to try to put it in the chat, but there's a great link with a lot of resources for students. I'm going to put it here in the chat, so hopefully you guys can see that. Oops, it's not working, so I will get that maybe at the end. whatever reason in the presentation mode, I cannot copy the link. But these are some examples: ABCia, Epic, Fun Brain, Khan Academy, Kids, ReadWorks, ABC Mouths, Lalio, Pebble Go, Raz Kids, and Starfall. Great interactive games with some sounds and phonemic awareness and even some early reading activities on there. So playing games is a great way to get your kids ready for school and reading, and actually just social skills in general. I was kind of shocked when I became a teacher and realized how many kids came into my classroom and really didn't have experience with how to play simple games. And on rainy days in the public schools, often they have to stay inside. And so the teachers get out bins of games. And it was amazing how many kids weren't familiar with how to play some games. But specific ones like Scrabble and Bloggle, and there's one called Bananagrams where they're putting letters together. Those are great ones to promote critical thinking and vocabulary development, as well as social skills and turn taking and all kinds of other things that you get from playing games at home. We want to remember that learning to read is challenging for kids. So it is important as caregivers and teachers to be patient. We want to encourage child's efforts and celebrate their progress, no matter how small. So remember, the teacher at school is kind of doing the nitty-gritty drill and effort to help your kids learn to read. And at home, we want to keep it fun and be patient and celebrate when you notice that there's progress being made. A great way to encourage your child to read at home is to create a cozy reading corner in your home, someplace that your child goes just to read and relax. This is very popular in schools as well. Sometimes it's like a timeout area or a calm down area, but it's an area that is removed from technology where they can go and feel cozy. You can make it inviting and simple with just some pillows and blankets and maybe that bin of books that you got from the library, and have it a special space where they go and they read on their own or look at picture books 15 minutes a day, just to start building some stamina of looking at books, because that's what's coming in school. They're going to be expected to sit with a book or homework material or an activity for a period of time. And sometimes that's difficult for children who are used to being entertained on computers and with technology and televisions. It's difficult for them to silence themselves and be okay with just a book and print. So practicing in that home is a great way to support that when they get to school. And another big one is model reading. Let your child see you reading for pleasure. And I have a lot of adult friends of mine who struggle with this one because they also have kind of gotten away from reading. It's easier to pick up their phone and play a game. But when we're raising children, we do need to remember that they watch everything we do. So finding a time where you might sit down and read a book. Maybe it's once a week on a Sunday. In the winter, light a fire. Again, make it cozy and sit down with a book and tell your child, we're going to all read for 15 or 20 minutes. And you show them that you do it too. Reading is an enjoyable and valuable skill, but we do need to show that we enjoy it as well. Another thing you can do at home is ask questions. So anytime you're reading with your child, ask questions about the story, about the character. That encourages their comprehension. You can ask questions before the story to kind of get their brain ready for what the story might be about, have them predict after they looked at pictures, what is the story going to be about? During the story, you can pause and ask what they're thinking. What do you think the character is thinking? What do you think is going to happen next? And then after reading, ask them to tell you about the story. What happened first, and then next, and then how did the story end? These are skills that build into school where they have to retell what they've read, and it helps get them used to that process. I said this once before, but we want to celebrate our kids' achievements, big and small. This goes with reading and with everything. They're looking for approval constantly from their teachers and their parents. So um, encourage them when you see that they're making progress. If they come home with a new book and they're excited about it and they want to read it to you, encourage that. Keep it light, keep it fun, celebrate them. They're doing a great job. They're working hard. But what if your child struggles? It's not uncommon. Reading is a really difficult skill, as I talked about before. And often as parents, we don't always have a comparison, right? You have your child in front of you. Maybe it's your first child. They went to school. You think they're doing okay, but at a parent-teacher conference, the teacher says that they're a little bit behind their peers. Well, you don't know because you're not with all the kids all the time. Reading is a difficult skill, but with practice, it is one that you can make great progress, especially over summers and over, a small window of time, just with a little bit of extra practice. So we want to have some things that you can do if you notice your child struggling or you hear from a teacher that your child struggles. Because remember, I always say it takes a village and there is help available. Number one, communicate with your teacher. So maybe it came up from your teacher. If not, if you have a concern, schedule a meeting or a conversation with your child's teacher to discuss what you're noticing or what your child struggles with. As a teacher, they know what they see in the classroom. Maybe we don't know what you see at home. So you really want to work together to try to figure out how to support the child. Ask for specific details about the areas in which your child might be struggling and what strategies that the teacher has used to support them or ideas that the teacher might have. And then you can ask the teacher if your child could undergo further assessment to identify if there might be a specific area of difficulty, such as phonemic awareness, or is it fluency, or is it comprehension, or is it vocabulary? Understanding the root cause of the struggle can help tailor how you want to intervene and support your child at home and also in school. You can talk to your teacher about inquiring about additional resources because there are supports available through the school. I was a reading specialist. I often worked with the struggling readers, sometimes just for a few weeks to get them caught up. Some others I worked with for a couple of years. There's speech therapists, there's literacy intervention programs, and sometimes you just need to advocate. If you think your child is struggling, or maybe they're just struggling a little bit, but you don't want it to get worse, is there something that they could do in the school? Utilize summers is a big one as well. During summers, a lot of kids will take a full break and they will play, their video games and they will be traveling. If your child is a little bit behind, using summer to do that daily practice makes a lot of growth and it uses the time that you've got available to kind of catch up as well. If your school has summer school, that's a great way to kind of keep steady with just some content and seeing words and seeing print. You do want to provide support at home, but as I mentioned earlier, the teachers are the ones doing the work. You want to be supportive as the parent. So I would really encourage creating a supportive environment for reading at home. Again, set aside that dedicated time where you can promote literacy, like reading together, playing those word games, visiting the library. Try to focus on your child's strengths. Identify those. And what are they interested in terms of readings? Find books that they are interested in and incorporate those into your learning and practice experiences. Help build confidence because when they have confidence, it can help them to feel motivated to tackle more challenging aspects of reading. Um, it's great to reread familiar stories that you might think, oh, that's too easy. You already know that story. But having them reread familiar stories helps them build confidence. And then maybe the next book they read is a little more challenging, but they've just had some success. So they're willing to take a little bit more of a challenge. If everything is difficult, they easily become frustrated and they kind of want to quit. And we never want that to happen. We always want to be supportive. As I mentioned earlier, check out your local library. It's a great place that there's always a children's librarian, and they are very familiar with what kids at certain ages gravitate towards. If your child's reluctant, they have ideas on how to engage them. They will even walk your child around the library and help them find books. It kind of makes it like a fun, exciting field trip, which motivates them to go home. Um, you'll be amazed by the wealth of knowledge that a librarian has to help your child find a love of books. Maybe if you don't have it, the librarian does. That's what they've chosen to do as a profession. Let them do their job. You can take a magazine, sit in a chair, and let them get your child excited about reading. I often encourage multisensory approaches. This is something that I did often with my readers. in the little bit of a reading room that I had, but ways to kind of really get kids excited and use different senses. So multisensory is not just using your eyes to read, but getting your whole brain involved. And it is just helpful for a lot of kids, especially those with sensory issues. But you can do these at home so simply. You see the picture with the letters in the bath. I know that's how my own kids learned their alphabet, was playing in the bathtub with their letters. And, we would make little words on the wall, just like you see in the picture. Sand, they sell colored sand at some of the play stores, the toy stores, or the educational stores. Drawing spelling words in there. You can use salt. You can use shaving cream on a baking sheet when they have spelling words. So anything like that that kind of gets their senses going. Another thing I did was those I can't remember, Mr. Sketch markers that are scented like different fruits. They could sniff them and write out their letters, anything that kind of incorporates more than just their reading. So get their fingers involved, get their sense of smell involved. It helps them retain what they're learning. And seek outside help if needed. So if your child's reading difficulties persist and you've tried interventions at school and you've been practicing at home, consider seeking support from outside professionals. You could get a referral from your pediatrician to an educational psychologist or perhaps a private tutor who specializes in reading instruction. I know sometimes children don't feel comfortable working with their parents, and it's easier for them to kind of relate to someone else. So don't hesitate. It's really critical when the kids are younger to kind of take advantage of time being on your side to get them in a good place. Typically, they say before third and fourth grade, they're kind of learning to read up until about third grade. And then all of a sudden, you need to read for your content. So now you need to read to get through math and science and things that your child might be good at, but you need the reading skills to get there. So try to get help if you feel like there might be a problem earlier. The earlier, the better. Again, talk to your teacher, talk to the school. There's many resources available, and we're always happy to help. So I want to thank you all for coming. I have my email address listed up here, and you're more than welcome to contact me with any questions. I'm happy to work with any of you and help your child at home or your students with some additional ideas to get them reading. And that is all I have.
Dr. Simecek, that session was awesome. We hope that you will continue to find more today, and we will see you soon.